Okay, we have the scope set up now. We have the scope probes on the circuit at the trigger point up here of the first timer. The first timer then turns on these little essentially 12-volt incandescent light bulbs. And then once those light bulbs turn off, then this timer kicks off this next timer, which does the horn. Now, it's this probe, where this probe is where we're getting the anomaly where the spikes from the circuit draw, or current draw on the circuit is causing this chip to fire again, this 555 timer. So we'll go ahead and show you a picture of just the button going off. The scope is flatlined because that input right now is high. This is the button. And notice the scope, when I hit the button, you'll see it register the triggering of that 555 timer. And there's the trigger of the 555 timer. And you heard it, and you also saw the little spike there. Well, if that spike goes too far down, if it actually goes down the screen here, it will actually trigger, if it goes past the second yellow line. The top yellow line is where the current is high, where the voltage is high on the input pin of the trigger. The second line is the trigger point of that 555 timer. If any of those spikes get under that, then the horn will fire again. So let's go ahead and set the scope so we can see those spikes better. Okay, now we should be able to see those spikes really well when they happen. I'll go ahead and push the button again. But now we're zoomed in. We're going to see those spikes and see if any of them reach that line. And there's all that noise. You see how it reached that bottom line? It almost had enough. It was almost there long enough to trigger the chip again. Unfortunately, it didn't. Well, fortunately, it didn't, because this is set at 500 nanoseconds, which means that it wasn't essentially low long enough for the 555 timer to see it, but it can be low enough under occasions. If there's a little more current draw, maybe if the battery's charged up a little bit more, if the horns simply draw harder, it will trigger again. What we need to do is we need to make it so that when we hit this button, that noise won't go across that trigger line. See if I can freeze frame the scope here. I froze a little bit of it. You can see it stop there, and it didn't quite reach it in a larger amount, but it did reach it some. And so that's what we're going to try and get rid of, and we're going to do so by seeing if we can add some filters to those inputs. And then we'll do this test again and see if we've filtered out that noise that's causing the double trigger.